Hi and welcome.
1, 2, 3, let's go!
My name is Nadia, and this life is an adventure. So in today's quest, I'm going to be giving some insight, advice, guidance maybe, and just a bit of a testimony to my journey with my passions, purpose, and ministry. This is one of those videos where I don't fully know what I'm going to be saying, and then I just know God has led me to make this video. Grab your popcorn. I have some popcorn puffs right here, and get cozy because I'm just going to be talking a lot, as I usually do, but today it's going to be a bit more informative. And I'm not exactly sure where to start, but I have prayed that God would lead me in everything that I say, because I truly do want to give some guidance to those people wondering what their purpose is, or if they even have one at all, as well as the wrestling with a sense of identity in your passions, because that is something that it isn't often talked about. We see a lot of people pursuing their passions and embracing them, but not a lot of people share the journey that it takes to get to that point, and I want to be vulnerable about that. I'd like to start off by talking about the value of having purpose in God's will. I didn't fully align with my purpose until I recognized that my purpose is aligned with God's will. There was aspects of my life that always showed up and spoke to my purpose and my passions as well, but I didn't fully know to embrace those certain things until I was aligned with God's will. So I will say, whether you are a believer or not, being aligned with the will for your life and with the kind of blueprint that has already been prepared for your life will give you a sense of peace and certainty in what you're called to do. And that's important because when it comes to our calling and our purpose, there can be a frustrating confusion about what is truly for us. There's a plan that is far greater than just us and what we have to contribute. And when we align with knowing that and submitting to that without fully knowing what to do, everything else can fall into place. I was not fully aligned with God's purpose for my life because I wasn't fully aligned with His will. There is a major difference in being aligned with your purpose and His will, because you can be aligned with what feels right for you to do, but it may not be what God calls you to do. And it's important to know when something is truly for you, because there's a sense of burnout we can get in trying to over pursue something, and you get that burnout a lot less when what you're doing fully aligns with your soul and your spirit. Because whether you feel tired or maybe just need a break from what's truly for you, there's something in you that is so strong. It's like a life force that is so strong for what you're pursuing that no matter how tired you feel, you're still going to feel a bit of motivation for it. And breaks are just as important, but that fire within you isn't snuffed out as easily when it's a fire that's truly rooted in Christ. I should probably give a little backstory. I have walked down many paths in this life and also pursued many different types of things. I've had a lot of desires, a lot of passions, and a lot of what I thought was my purpose. And for so long, none of it was fulfilling my soul the way that the things that I pursue now do. When I was 15 years old, I started tattooing. I had a drive to want to tattoo, and the majority of the tattoos I did myself, and I was also tattooing other people. Now, my intentions and desires for wanting to be a tattoo artist were not pure in the first place, and that let me know now that it truly wasn't for me. But at the time, just because I had the drive to want to do it, I believed that was what I was meant to do. With tattooing, my pursuit of it was inconsistent, and that's because the drive for it was also inconsistent. And that is why I said that when something is truly for you but also aligned with God's will, that motivation you have for it doesn't just dissipate, even if you have periods where you do need to rest. You're always going to have something in you motivating you to do it because it's aligning with the true you. When I was tattooing, I would go long periods, without tattooing and telling myself that I did not want to do it anymore. And I know now that it was because most of my being didn't want to do it in the first place. But at the time, I believed it was burnout, not having the right products for it. It was easy to make a lot of excuses for why I didn't want to do it instead of just accepting that maybe it wasn't for me. And so I kept trying, I kept persisting. 6 years later, I was still tattooing inconsistently, but I still had an inkling to want to claim the identity of tattoo artist. I would also like to say that when it comes to our passions and our pursuits and our purpose, that is not who we are. It is part of what makes us who we are. But the idea that we just have to claim this identity because of something we're passionate about is not only extremely worldly, but it's extremely limiting. And me trying to tell myself that I was a tattoo artist and putting so much energy towards that title and that identity took so much away from actually aligning what was really for me. And at the same time, I was trying to pursue other things like music and my painting and other things that were truly aligning with my purpose and my true passions. But I gave a lot less attention to those things and didn't fully get to understand those things at the time because of how much energy and identity I was putting into being a tattoo artist. Even going into being saved, I was still struggling with, well, I have many passions, many things I desire to do, so how do I know what's really for me? And it wasn't until I laid everything down and took a step back and aligned my identity with who God called me to be that I was able to pick back up what was truly for me. Because along the entire journey, what was really for me and what was really rooted in my soul and spirit was there all along. I just took it a lot more lightly because of the other things that I had distracted me from what was for me. We were created to create. My label for myself with my career or passions or endeavors is artist because we were created to create, and art is creation. All along, everything that I was pursuing was a form of art, but some of the pursuits or the desires for those things were not rooted in the most authentic and holy places. And while it was hard for me to differentiate, well, if I'm a tattoo artist, it's because I'm an artist, and I was holding on too much to that limiting title instead of just embracing, well, I'm an artist, which doesn't limit me to one art. A lot of us take parts of our purpose, parts of our ministry, and parts of our passions very lightly because of how peaceful it can feel. And I know that's really weird, but in today's society, we're led to believe that your purpose and what you're meant to be doing with your life should be exhausting and strenuous and require so much more out of you than God has called us to give. It can feel like our passions and our careers and who we're called to be shouldn't be simple. But God has called us to such a simple life. By dwelling in that peace that we have in Him, everything that we receive also adds to that peace that we have gotten from Him. For so long, I claimed the statement that I did not want to turn my passions into a form of income. I also want to speak about that because that can be very hard to navigate when you are an artist or when your passions are not capitalistic and you want to be able to remain pure and have the right intentions with it. That was the boat I was in. For some reason, being able to profit from being a tattoo artist felt more reasonable than profiting from being an artist in general. And I believe that was because I had this idea, and a lot of us do, that turning art into profit can make it less fun to do the art. But that could not be more wrong. Not only has God placed within us a gift that He has called us to steward and give back to the world, but He wants us to feel an abundance and an appreciation and feel the value in that gift that we have. It can be hard to truly embrace that when we struggle to embrace that part of our character and our identity in general. I didn't want to see my gift as a gift. I had the idea that, well, anybody could paint, so why should I be trying to profit from it? But there's something within us, in our soul, that makes us us. Our spirit is what aligns us with God, but our soul is what aligns us with who we are as individuals. And although anybody could paint, nobody could paint like Nadia. And until I was able to fully align with my identity, I couldn't fully align with and embracing that truth. Not only is there so much value in aligning with our identity so that everything like our passions and purpose come afterward, but God has called us to an easier life. And that is not to say that we won't experience struggles, but we are allowed to pursue things that don't cause us constant stress. I'm reading this book right now, and there was a quote in this book from Khalil Gibran. And Khalil said that our work is our love becoming visible. I also have that in the bio of my channel because nothing could be more true. We are a reflection of God, and God is our creator. He creates all things. So we are called to create as well. And when we create from an authentic place, we are creating in love. And love is not only exactly what God is and exactly what He wants us to dwell in, but it's also something that adds so much light to the world. And it can be difficult to fully embrace that when this world isn't as accepting of love and light. But we are called to do all things in love. And one of the greatest things we can do in love is the work that we contribute. As a testimony to our appreciation and our gratitude for God having created us, we are called to create in reflection of our submission to God. The beauty of being aligned with God's will is truly just being aligned with love, and that can be difficult for us to understand because it's not often that we get an understanding of what love really is. But to know Christ is to know true love. To know yourself is to know an authentic self-love. And everything we do will stem from that love. And that's why the Bible talks about keeping your heart pure, because everything you do will stem from it. And having had my heart renewed, my mind has been renewed and is still being renewed every day. But having had my heart aligned with God's heart and God's will, even on the days that it's hard and the days that my human struggles, my heart never stops burning for the things that I'm called to do, because they are all in an authentic love that just won't disappear, because God's love is everlasting. So the love He has placed in us for us to radiate is everlasting. I'm sure there's much more that I could speak of on this topic, and videos like this are to lead me into more comfortability with expressing the wisdom that God has instilled in me, because like I've said in past videos, I've struggled with not only being perceived, but with my words and actions truly aligning with my heart and God's heart. And so I don't want to be saying anything out of a place of lack of understanding and wisdom, and not in any way to tell you how to live your life, but to encourage you to live in the most authentic and loving way possible. Whether you have decided to truly align your life with Christ or not, there is a universal truth that living in love and living in light is going to give you the best life you could possibly imagine, compared to living in darkness and living in constant agony of not knowing who you are or what you should do with your life. I don't have much more to say today, but I know I'm not done talking about this topic. My intention with this video was truly just to share that there's a sense of peace that comes with aligning with what is truly for you and aligning with your true identity. And if you're feeling chaos and confusion, not only is that not of God, but it's not of you either. Because when you are fully aligned with who you were called to be, who you were created to be, that confusion doesn't exist. And if it ever does try to come up, it doesn't linger long. I hope you all enjoyed this video. This is a little chit chat. I love you, and God loves you.
Toodles!